Welcome to the Y on Earth Community's Stewardship and Sustainability podcast series. Today we are visiting with de-Hun-Gee-Osta, also known as Meadow Cook. Hey Meadow, how are you doing?
I'm good.
It's good to be with you.
Yeah, you too.
And I'm so excited to dive into this conversation about all of this leadership work that you're doing as a youth ambassador, as a youth advisory board member on a handful of different organizations. And can't wait to talk with you about the project that you're doing right here on these lands where we're currently sitting. And before we dive in, let me share with the audience a little bit about you and your background. So, de-Hun-Gee-Osta, Meadow Cook, is a 16-year-old indigenous activist from the Akwesasne Mohawk territory. She is Bear Clan and an environmentalist within her community. She has been actively involved with the Idle No More movement and is currently involved in the fight against the Enbridge pipeline. Meadow is an indigenous representative for Earth Uprising, is president of the Three Sisters Sovereignty Project Youth Advisory Board, and is an ambassador of the Y on Earth community. She hopes to expand her reach beyond the reserve and act for a voice for the Kanien'kehá:ka, the Mohawk people. So Meadow, this is a lot. You've got a lot going on, and I'm so impressed that you're doing so much at the age of 16. And there's a lot we're going to be able to share with the audience here. So to dive in, will you share where are we right now and why is that important?
So right now we're in the Schoharie Valley. It's actually the ancestral lands of the Mohawk people. And we just moved back here, me and my mom. And we're working with the Three Sisters Project to help reclaim this land back.
And so how does it feel for you having recently moved here to this land versus where you've grown up?
It feels it's like a connection that I've never really felt at home on a reservation, and to be here surrounded by the nature and in a place that isn't toxic and killing our people is a really different feeling. Like, even just going home, we get like these headaches and we get sick for a couple days the first few days that we're back every time we return, and as soon as we come back here we're better, and it takes a couple days to adjust, and that just shows how toxic it is at home.
Yeah. You know, and I imagine a lot of our audience doesn't know where Akwesasne is in terms of the geography of it all. Could you just kind of describe where it is and then why we're talking about this environmental pollution?
Yeah, so I'm from upstate New York. It straddles the border of Canada and New York. So part of our reservation is in Ontario and part is in the like Messina area. It's a small town.
It's like the way northern Adirondacks, basically?
Yeah. And we actually live on a Superfund site, and there's two main factories that were shut down, but they were never really taken care of properly. So now all of our people are getting sick and basically dying off in a new way, in a new genocide because of this.
And this is something obviously that you've got lots of your friends and family dealing with directly, and we know through many of our other ambassadors and friends and allies at the Y on Earth community, this kind of environmental justice issue is one that we're seeing in a lot of different places around the United States, around North America, and even globally. And it's really important, I think, that we all have a much higher level of awareness about what's going on here, and that we have these manufacturing facilities often discharging and emitting horrible carcinogens, heavy metals into the environment, often around places like reservations and other disempowered or low-income communities that might be found around major cities, etc. So what's happening from your perspective as a youth leader to help deal with that challenging situation?
So at home, it's really hard to go back because all of the youth there, and even myself, for the majority of my life, we felt this sense of hopelessness and like this is just what happens to us. And even just doing research, if you look at the number one, like the top 10 Superfund sites in New York, like half of them are all reservations, and they're all within the Haudenosaunee community. So it's really hard. Even other reservations near us, going visit, you see the all the pollution that it's caused, all the disease that it's caused us, and no one really even knows at home. Even that's how like kind of covered up and hidden it was when they were in operation.
And these are often manufacturing facilities from companies we would all be familiar with, right? Like I think, is it General Motors?
Yeah, General Motors and Alcoa.
And Alcoa, yeah, major aluminum manufacturer among other things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, so many of us are using the products coming from these companies, and it's imperative we connect the dots in terms of our consumer demand and really demanding that we see these companies taking responsibility for things they've already done and stop that kind of behavior going forward, right?
Yeah. The worst is the people who have worked in the plants.
Yeah.
And so they not only lost their jobs when they shut down, they're losing their lives because of the disease and everything that's spread to them working in those factories in close proximity to all these chemicals and toxins.
Yeah. It's really intense. Well, I am so struck that notwithstanding these incredible challenges, you have grown up with such a strong sense of self and as such a strong leader, right? You've been class president more than 1 year.
Yeah.
And maybe tell us a little bit about that. Like what's that like in terms of being a leader and your role as class president? Like how does that feel to you?
Well, it was really different being that kind of leader in a school where it was the majority Native students, but none of them were interested in leading, and that always really confused me because I always knew I wanted to do something to help the people and even like my classmates, even just get better conditions in school. And it was really, I knew it was what I wanted to do as soon as the option was available. So I started in 5th grade, and I was president 4 years straight, co-president 1 year, and then I was the student rep the 5th year. And I've tried, the majority of the student council was always non-native, but the majority of the school is native.
Like what, 85%
yeah,
or something?
85%.
I mean, that's remarkable.
And so I would always feel like I was presenting these ideas and the non-native students would just brush it off kind of. So it's hard to almost like the way that they are at home, it's hard to work with them and get them to recognize the things that our people are going through. Even though they live in such close proximity, they don't understand. So I tried my best, but it's hard to work with our school board, pretty much.
Yeah, big challenge. Well, and now that you've moved to central New York, obviously there's a whole new opportunity in the way that you're leading with your peers back in Akwesasne. And I know just the last couple nights, we've been here at a gathering for several days, and it's been so fun observing you communicating with your friends back in Akwesasne, telling them about what's going on here, and the level of excitement is palpable. It's amazing, right? So what are some of your friends thinking about in terms of what's happening at Three Sisters Sovereignty Project and how they might get involved?
So, more than half of the people that I've had, I've put together a youth board. So more than half of them are fluent in the language, and they're going to bring that aspect because a lot of the older people and even like a bigger majority of the younger people have lost our language. So it was really important to make sure that we could have that aspect in this. And so I have multiple language speakers on the board, and I have multiple like traditional artists. We have basket weavers, painters, sketch artists, and beaders, a big part. So I wanted every aspect of our culture to be able to include the youth and really connect that with the older women working with the Three Sisters Sovereignty Project. That's
so exciting. Are they excited to get down here?
Yeah. I feel like I've given them a sense of hope that they didn't know that they had, that they could have, or like an option that they didn't think was available. And a lot of them were so excited and felt like they had a purpose for the first time. So they're really, all of them were on board instantly, and their parents are also super supportive because they know how important this work is and how important the revival of our culture is after not being able to, like the older generation not being able to even participate in their own culture up until, what was it, the 70s?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of, we're working to heal that intergenerational trauma.
Yeah, it's absolutely admirable, and the courage and the power that you're demonstrating just naturally is really beautiful. I commend you for that, and I'm so happy we have the opportunity to share that a bit with our audience. It's tremendous. And I know that some of our audience is familiar with some of the brutality and the oppression and what's happened as the European forces have colonized around the world, including right here. And what I don't think everybody necessarily has a direct experience of or direct knowledge of is the stories of what happens when we're little kids and we're not allowed to speak our native language. And there are people teaching us not related to us who are using brutal methods to basically indoctrinate or enculturate us into mainstream, white English culture, right? And this is part of what you're talking about, healing that intergenerational wounding that's been there for many generations now.
Yeah. So there's like in my own family alone, there's like at least 5 generations of trauma, and even my own mother wasn't allowed to speak her language. So it's really important to be doing that work and bringing it back.
Yeah.
And I think with this project, even including more youth is just gonna further the healing and connect all of them.
Yeah. And of course, your mother is one of the 3 women leading the Three Sisters Sovereignty Project, right?
Yep.
So this is just a tremendous story, and it's one I hope many of our Y on Earth network will get involved in and engaged in and support. And I'll just throw out that you can check out information on Three Sisters by going to threesistersproject.org, and there is a GoFundMe underway to help support the efforts in the coming year of putting in gardens, of putting in an educational longhouse, of getting some sustainable micro enterprises launched and underway. So threesistersproject.org is a great place to plug in and to support what's happening here with Meadow and her mother Tiffany and the other women and men who are helping to make this happen. So yeah, definitely excited for folks to have an opportunity to see that and to become a part of that. And of course, some folks know that my great grandmother was Mohawk, and that I'm one of the people out there who's got that as part of my heritage, but was totally obviously cut off culturally. And for me, I get excited thinking I have an opportunity to learn the language a little bit. And it's not easy. It's a beautiful language. I love hearing it, and it's not an easy one for me to learn. But De-Hun-Gee-Osta, your name has a beautiful, beautiful meaning. Can you share with the audience what it means and what it means to you as you're moving here and doing this work here?
So my name, Tehontsiiohsta, means she makes the land beautiful, and I was named by my grandmother. It's really kind of astonishing to see how it's manifested and how it's really become my true name, and I just feeling the connection to the land here has only furthered that.
And you with your mother and several other women had an amazing ceremony a few days ago, a moon lodge ceremony, and I understand that was for you the first lodge ceremony you've had back here on the ancestral homelands. Is that right?
Yeah, so our first our moon ceremony was for all the women, and it was mainly to connect us back to this land because we've been gone for so long, and because we were pushed to our reservations and we haven't been here, and we all really felt that connection while we were in there doing the ceremony.
Mm-hmm. That's absolutely beautiful. Well, I think another aspect of what's happening that's really important for all of our audience and really all of our society to understand more broadly is that coming out of the Mohawk tradition is a very powerful, important, special way of relating to each other and relating to the world, the earth, and it's the great law. And I know that Ben Franklin spent a lot of time among the Mohawk people, and that was a big part of some of the most virtuous aspects of what got framed into the Constitution. And I'm just wondering, share with us the great law and how does that play out in what you're doing here?
So it's really hard for us to even follow the great law at home because the pollution has poisoned our minds, and all you can ever be is negative. And one of the main things we need to have is ganigunleo, and that's a good mind. So coming here has really helped us reconnect with those teachings and really continue to use it and show our youth how to use it, because everyone is just disconnected mainly at home.
And I know the Great Law has 3 main tenets, right? Will you share what those are?
Peace, is a good mind, and love.
We've got Mom off camera
here.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've studied that.
Yeah.
So we basically learn that when we're little children, and because there's no reservation schools other than the Freedom School, and that's in one of the most polluted places.
Oh my gosh.
Our only option is to go to the white school. I mean, it's still the majority of us have to go there, so now it's 85%. But so after we're children, if we're not able to go to Longhouse because we can't miss school, or the school gives us a hard time for ceremonies. So after, we've all forgotten basically, and it's really hard to relearn things that you knew since you were a baby. And that's mainly what we're all doing.
Yeah, it's so beautiful to see you. And just earlier today, you were doing a bit of this nearby, right? There's an Iroquois Indian Museum nearby, near Howe's Cave in central New York. And you were over there teaching. How many kids were over there?
There was 70.
Yeah.
About 70.
And so we were visiting yesterday. The some of the artifacts are just beautiful to look at, right? And just amazing to be surrounded by all of that. What were you teaching the kids today? What was going on?
So I was telling this big group about the story of the corn husk doll, the no face doll.
Yeah.
And then we helped them to all make them. And it was so crazy to see all these non-native kids be so accepting, and they were all amazed that I was there, because a lot of people think that the Mohawks have died out.
Right.
And even just all Native Americans, they think they were all I thought they all died, and it was kind of crazy to see that. And I was speaking to them in the language, and they were all so excited and thrilled to be there. So it was a really good experience.
That's absolutely beautiful. That's so beautiful. Yeah, and it sounds like there will be opportunities for a lot more events and gatherings at that museum. It's a beautiful building, right? And
yeah. So they want me to volunteer there now. So I'm going to be there often, me and my mom. And they want me to do some of the stories and tell them to groups of kids for school, so they can learn and know that we're still here.
Yeah, absolutely. And how.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little about sports for a minute. You also are a lacrosse player, huh?
Yeah.
Retired
lacrosse
player, yeah. So tell us, lacrosse has a very special place in the Mohawk culture. Why is that special? What's that all about? And what changed recently with the clan mothers around this?
So it's originally a medicine game. It was played by the men, and we used wooden sticks, and it was made we don't even have record because it's all oral storytelling. And so I grew up, my mom never wanted me to play because the women aren't supposed to play. In our culture, we're too powerful, and we're too we have too much power over it, so we can't use it as the medicine. So my father was the one who got me into playing when I was in 3rd grade, and even then it was a really controversial thing in our community, and a lot of people from the Longhouse and the clan mothers and the leaders didn't support it. So in the last couple years, we've gotten the Bear clan mother, Louise Hearn. We got her on board with that, and we actually have a documentary about the whole process. It's called Keepers of the Game. It's on Netflix.
Yeah, I watched it I guess 1 or 2 years ago, and it was awesome story, Keepers of the Game. I'll put that in the show notes too. I'll try to link it for everybody so that it's easy to check that out. So, do you think you'll end up teaching some others to play some lacrosse down the road?
Yeah, probably. We have, on my youth board for Three Sisters Sovereignty Project, we have a lot of lacrosse players, and they know how to do the traditional wooden sticks and how to do everything involved with that. So usually we split, so the young men teach the young men, and the young women teach the young women.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it is different, because we use it more, the women use it more as a sport now, and it's not really the medicine aspect, but the young men still use that. So there's more of a spiritual aspect to that too, and a lot of, probably the majority of young men on the reservation play, and they've played their whole lives.
Cool. I'm wondering too if we might share a little about the eagle feather, and I know there's something very special hanging behind us here.
Yeah.
This is something from a man who's done a lot to reestablish the presence of the Mohawk people in this region as well, right?
Yeah.
And could you tell us a little about him and what this is, and we can read it maybe for the audience, right?
Yeah. So Tom Porter, he's kind of a celebrity back home. He's really done a lot of work for us in our community and really helped to establish another community, almost like our Three Sisters Sovereignty Project.
Mm-hmm.
So he was kind of the paved the way for us to even be here and be started. And he's done a lot of work, a lot of speeches, a lot of telling our stories and getting the message out there. There's a lot on YouTube. We used to watch it for our classes, even in school. Like, that's how important it was to us to get that.
That's so beautiful. Cool. Well, you know what I'm going to do? A little fun thing for our audience. I'm actually going to grab the camera and just kind of come in a little closer as you're reading it, just so we keep the sound as good as we can, and maybe folks will be able to see what's going on. So this is a poster you just got at the museum, right?
Yeah, actually my aunt does the artwork for this. So this is the story of the eagle feather. When the world was new, the Creator made all the birds. He colored their feathers like a bouquet of flowers. The Creator then gave each a distinct song to sing. The Creator instructed the birds to greet each new day with a chorus of their songs. Of all the birds, our Creator chose the eagle to be the leader. The eagle flies the highest and sees the furthest of all creatures. The eagle is a messenger to the Creator. During the 4 sacred rituals, we will wear an eagle feather in our hair. To wear or to hold the eagle feather causes our Creator to take immediate notice. With the eagle feather, the Creator is honored in the highest. When one receives an eagle feather, that person is being acknowledged with gratitude, with love, and with ultimate respect. The feather must have sacred tobacco burnt for it. In this way, the eagle and the Creator are notified of the name of the new eagle feather holder. The holder of the eagle feather must ensure that anything that changes the natural state of one's mind, like alcohol or drugs, it must never come in contact with the sacred eagle feather. The keeper of the feather will make a little home where the feather will be kept. The eagle feather must be fed. You feed the eagle feather by holding or wearing the feather at sacred ceremonies. By doing this, the eagle feather is recharged with sacred energy. Never abuse, never disrespect, and never contaminate your eagle feather. Only real human men and women carry the eagle feather. The Mohawk man will have 3 eagle feathers standing straight up on his gustoa. This is what I know about the sacred eagle feather. To.
Thank you. And the clan mothers often give eagle feathers, don't they, for good deeds?
Yeah. Sometimes you don't even need, like, my mom has hers, and she got that, like, on her own and did her own ceremony for it, and now she's starting to pass her things down to me. Like, she has her full traditional leather outfit, and she's passed that down to me now. So I have to put it through in my own ceremony things when they pass down like that. So it's really cool to get my mom's old things.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Wow. Well, let me just remind our audience that this is the Y on Earth Community's Stewardship and Sustainability podcast series. And I am visiting today with de-Hun-Gee-Osta, Meadow Cook, at the Three Sisters Sovereignty Project in Central New York. And let me give a quick thanks to our partners and sponsors who help make all of this possible, our podcast series as well as our community mobilization work for climate action, soil regeneration, and culture of kindness. And they include Patagonia, Beauty Counter, Earth Coast Productions, Waylay Waters, Purium, and the Lidge Family Foundation. And with Beauty Counter and Waylay Waters and Purium, if you would like to, you can make purchases through links on the Y on Earth site that will help support the Y on Earth community with some of the proceeds from those purchases coming back to the Y on Earth community. And also on the Y on Earth site, yonearth.org, you'll see a page for donating, for joining our monthly membership program. And you can sign up at any level that works for you. And when you do, I'll send you an email to give you a very special code so that you can download free copies of all of our ebook and audiobook resources. So a huge thanks and shout out to everybody who have joined our monthly membership program. Thank you for your ongoing support. And if you haven't yet and you'd like to, you can do that over at whyonearth.org. And of course, we've been talking about Three Sisters Sovereignty Project. You can check all of that out and support at threesistersproject.org. And you can find Meadow on Instagram, Meadow Cook. And she's very active. I'm so impressed by her social media production, content generation. And then you're also on the it's Indigenous Advisory Council. What is it for Earth Uprising?
Oh, so right now I'm the only Indigenous representative for Earth Uprising.
Wow, okay, I didn't realize you're the only. That's amazing.
So I'm working on recruiting people from all of the nations in New York and really helping to get our voices heard. So I'm really glad to be working with these people and educating them on things they didn't even know. Like a lot of them, they'll bring up things and I'll have to correct them because they're so used to the colonialized and whitewashed teachings from the schools that they're in, and it's really helped them and me, and now they're getting a lot more educated on these topics.
That's
So
beautiful.
really
And
good
so Earth Uprising, people can go to earthuprising.org. So what are you guys working on at Earth Uprising? Like what's their role in all that's happening right now in the world?
So they organize a lot of the youth climate strikes,
Yeah.
and they've hosted events, and we do strike every Friday. The majority of members with that organization. So we're also, they work closely with Fridays for Future, and basically all of the climate events in the U.S., but they have a global reach. They have, we have members from a lot of countries, and I think every continent. So it's really a unique climate organization, and I think, as far as I know, they're the only ones that have an Indigenous representative, especially from New York.
That's really wonderful. I'm so excited to hear about this, and it's amazing the way that you're also helping to network with others in the tribal nations to get involved, and for this knowledge sharing to really start to happen across those different kind of cultural boundaries.
Yeah.
Is it fun?
Yeah.
Are you having
It's
fun?
really cool.
Yeah.
I've met so many people just this far, and I've only been with them about a month.
Uh-huh.
And it's really nice to even at their events people, and I've never seen that before in any of the organizations I've worked with. So it's really cool to meet other people like me, and even their different cultures, because they're so different even though we're so close. And it's really cool to be learning that much about the cultures that I didn't know about.
Oh, I love that. And were you at the big climate march down in New York?
Yeah, so I was right in the middle, smack dab in the middle of the banner, and there's a lot of pictures. But I wore my full regalia, and I had my ribbon top on, and my mom's actually leather skirt.
Uh-huh.
And I walked through the subway in all of New York City with my full outfit on.
Uh-huh.
And everyone was amazed because they've never seen a real, so many people came up to me I've never seen a real Native American before.
Wow.
And it was a really crazy experience.
Oh, I bet. But how did that feel for you?
It was really it was the first time I felt hopeful about the climate situation, and it was really cool. Even though there was older men from other nations that came, and they were complimenting my outfit, and I was so starstruck even though I didn't even know them. and my sign said the future is indigenous, and it was really cool to get that message out. So.
That's really wonderful. Oh, it's so amazing. Yeah, beautiful. Well, I'm wondering, before we kind of wrap up for today's conversation, and I hope we'll do some more, down the road, especially as the Three Sisters Sovereignty Project is unfolding and evolving and developing. That would be really fun to be able to, check in and share with folks along the way. But for today, before we sign off and have any, final words, I want to ask a little about, you mentioned the Bear Clan mother around La Crosse, and you said that you are Bear Clan, and will you share with our audience what that means and how that relates to the work you're doing?
Yeah, so the Bear Clan has been the clan that works with the medicines and handles the medicines, and we've been trusted with that by the creators since the beginning of the clan system, basically. And it's really, my mom has really taught me a lot through her work with medicines, and even just learning the medicines in nature and how much you can find, basically, and finding the natural solutions. I have a lot of chronic pain, and finding the natural solutions that my people used to use is really cool to do, and it actually works, and we're not stuck with the opioids and the all these pills and all the medicine that I was previously on, and it's really helped to resolve the pain, and it's really cool to be learning more and more every day, especially with the women in our community teaching me and all the other young people.
Absolutely beautiful. I love to hear that. It's so wonderful. We talk here too about how the waterfall herself is medicinal. There's a great waterfall here, huh?
Yeah, so I've actually swam in the waterfall. As soon as we got here, I knew I was gonna. I went right in the waterfall, and it's really cleansing, and it feels really sacred to be in that water, and to be in a place where you can drink the water, because the water at home is dirt brown. It's so polluted, and the kids can't even swim, or they shouldn't be allowed to swim. A lot of them do, and it's really affecting them young now. So to bring even my cousins or my relatives and all my relations back here, and they can see it and feel it and drink the water for once, and they're so thrilled about that.
What a gift. What a gift to be able to share that. Well, I guess before we sign off, Meadow, is there anything else you'd like to share or to say?
So I was just talking about the waterfall. So that's actually, we have stories about that in our own culture, and we have our own special names for all of these waterfalls in this area, and it's really cool to you'll see a lot of the natives in the signs and everything, and they recognize that we were here, and it's really nice to be in this place where these non-indigenous people are so supportive for one of the first times that I've experienced, and it's really nice to be able to feel that sense of trust and to feel that they're helping us towards our goals, and we're not they're not so discriminative against us. So it's really nice to work with them, and even the youth, they're so kind, and that's something I've never experienced at home. So it's a really great experience to be away from the reservation.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Meadow, for visiting with us, and it's such a joy to be able to share a bit about you and your story, your leadership, your courage with our audience. So thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.
The Why on Earth Community Stewardship and Sustainability podcast series is hosted by Aaron William Perry, author, thought leader, and executive consultant. The podcast and video recordings are made possible by the generous support of people like you. To sign up as a daily, weekly, or monthly supporter, please visit whyonearth.org/support. Support packages start at just $1 per month. The podcast series is also sponsored by several corporate and organization sponsors. You can get discounts on their products and services using the code WHYONEARTH, all one word with a Y. These sponsors are listed on the whyonearth.org/support page. If you found this particular podcast episode especially insightful, informative, or inspiring, please pass it on and share it with a friend whom you think will also enjoy it. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support. And thank you for being a part of the Why on Earth community.